Alan, of course, the big news today and for the future, Leon Rose officially in as president of the New York Knicks.
Yes, and it's something that's resonating around the NBA. I mean, this is a guy who was a power agent, the head of basketball for CAA, so he's a guy that's represented some of the biggest names in the game over the last 25 years, as we've mentioned before, Allen Iverson, LeBron James, and Carmelo Anthony as well. He's a local guy, a South Jersey guy, so he has been at the Garden. You've seen him here a lot. Why? Well, he's represented several Knicks players over the years, including Carmelo Anthony, and Carmelo told Newsday in an interview last week that it's an exciting time for the Knicks, and he went on to talk about what he knows about his former agent, now his former agent. Player relations, he's very big on that. Deal making, very big on that. Communicating, knowing personnel. He's been in this game for a long time. He's represented the best of the best in this game. He knows. He's made the deals. That's just what he does. He's good at running his organization and his own business. Now, in 2019, Forbes ranked Rose number 2 among basketball agents with almost $950 million in contracts negotiated. So, yes, he can certainly handle big deals. His current players that he represented up until now taking this job was Chris Paul, Joel Embiid, Devin Booker, and Karl Anthony Towns. So still representing some of the biggest names in the game. Now, in a letter to the fans, as we've already mentioned, but he said that he's been fortunate enough to be part of professional basketball more than 25 years and had the privilege of helping to share careers of many incredible athletes. And he said that experience as an agent allowed him to learn the intricacies of the league, player recruitment, and most importantly, how to develop relationships. And that's a very important part of this job. He's a behind-the-scenes kind of guy. He's not somebody that has ever been out front, definitely not as an agent. And I think he's going to take that same role as team president of the Knicks as he now tries to take this franchise forward.
All right, Alan, often on the post-game show over the last handful of years, you've coined the phrase third quarter of doom when things don't go well for the Knicks after halftime. But this year, even though they got better the other night against Chicago, it's been the second quarter that's been a major problem.
And that's something that Mike Miller has talked about, and he actually pointed it out before that game against the Bulls, how the second quarter has been that quarter that's been the issue that has caused them some trouble. They've always had to make comebacks because even if they've had good first quarters, those second quarters have completely changed the game on them. And since the All-Star break, it's really been a major issue. Going into the Chicago game, they were being outscored by an average of 10.3 points per game in the second quarter, and they've had competitive starts. That Indiana game, you remember, they led 20-15 after the first, down 7 at the half because of that 12-point deficit. They lost by 8. The Houston game was another one. It's a close game, a 3-point game after 1, but then the minus 12 in the second quarter, they lost by 11. The Charlotte game, also a close game after the first quarter, a 3-point game. Well, that minus 10, that minus 7 cost them. Philadelphia, same story. It was the Chicago game where things turned. But by the way, in that game against the Bulls, they were actually trailing by 9 points in the first half of that quarter before a big run, and R.J. Barrett put a change to that and gave them a big lead at the half, which allowed them to get the win.
Okay, Alan, last Monday in Houston, Rockets beat the Knicks. James Harden went for 37. 31 came in the first half. He's a leading scorer in the league. What's going on between him and Giannis Antetokounmpo right now?
Well, you know what's going on? It's a rare beef between NBA stars, which we don't get to see anymore these days. But these two have had a back and forth now that is getting kind of interesting. It all started during the All-Star selection when Giannis Antetokounmpo was picking teams, and that was, of course, televised. And he passed on Harden to pick Kemba Walker. And the guys from TNT asked him, well, why would you pass on James Harden? And Giannis said with a laugh, so you could tell he was joking, I want someone who will pass the ball. Well, Harden didn't think that was very funny. So in an interview with ESPN last week, he said he didn't appreciate the comment. He didn't understand what the joke was and pointed out that he was averaging more assists than Walker. And then he really went in. Look at this. I wish I was 7 feet, just like Giannis, and I could run and just dunk. That takes no skill at all. I have to actually learn how to play basketball and how to have skill. I'll take that every day. Now, Harden won the MVP in 2018. Giannis won it last season, and they both will be in the conversation again this year, but their styles are very contrasting. So Harden leads the league in 35 points a game, as you mentioned, in scoring, but he takes a ton of threes. 45% of his made field goals are behind the arc. Meanwhile, Giannis averages almost 30 a game as well, but he's not much of a three-point threat. He's second in the league in dunks. Almost 30% of his baskets are dunks, so maybe Harden is on to something. But Giannis had the chance to respond on Friday night. He opted not to. He said, I don't take shots at anybody. He believes what he wants to believe. But he did add, my game is not just power, that's for sure. Opening night, these two teams played against each other. Antetokounmpo went for a triple-double. The Bucks won the game. They will meet again later this month, and of course, that's a must-watch game.